This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello, Bad Movie lovers, and welcome to Season 5 of Bad Movies We Love. I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of the stupid stuff!
Thank you so much for tuning in for another season. I am looking at the 2026 calendar right now, and it's loaded with tons of fun stuff. So if you've been listening along throughout this journey, you'll be very pleased with the slate for the new year. And if you're just joining the fray, well, welcome to the resistance. There's a great year ahead. Now, before we get on with the new episode and the new season, I've got a couple announcements. Our Bad Movies We Love Best of 2025 episode is in production, but keep in mind this is not the best of the year, worst of the year list that you've seen all over. No, this is the best quote-unquote bad movies of 2025 using our custom scoring criteria here at the show, so keep an eye out for that later this month. And starting this season, there are going to be 2 new additions to the main feed. First, Bad Movies Monthly, a once-a-month recap episode looking back at the theme and the movies we covered during the month, and then scoping out the current release landscape for any new movies that may fit the mold for the show. It's a good opportunity for reflection and for the chance to make any announcements that may pop up along the way. Also, we're going to be doing On the Bubble. So once a month, a movie whose scores fall just outside the scoring criteria will get a special Bad Movies We Love exemption to be included on the show's lineup for the month. For January, the theme is sci-fi, so that pick is going to be the 1987 TV movie Not Quite Human, clocking in with a Bad Movies We Love score of 63.25 out of 100. The Resistance members-only tier will also have new episodes of Rom-Comathon, Bimon Sci-Fi-Con, and Bad Movie Futures in January. Plus, we are finally kicking down the door and we'll be covering some good movies we love in 2025. That's a pretty good return on investment for just $5 a month, so check the show notes for sign-up details. And I also want to thank our contributing members Ben, Sean, Sharon, Kristen, Donnie, Brian, Todd, and Melissa. Thank you so much for your support. All right, it's time to fire up the Dimension Drive and travel 3,432 light years into the future to talk about the mess that is 2000's Supernova. And make sure you stay tuned at the end of this episode for one more very special announcement.
It's kind of goofy in times, and I can make fun of it, but actually enjoy it.
Despite the fact that it costs as much as it did, it has the feel of like a cable-made movie.
There's some really good practical effects in the trailer that isn't in the movie.
James Spader himself was like, if you're gonna watch my movies, like maybe this ain't the one.
Since last time we jumped, I didn't shit right for a week. This
movie's very horny.
This movie has so much background noise to it, behind the scenes and in the scenes.
Like the ship has like a zero-gravity sex room.
You're seeing these kind of fast-paced, gruesome images with the practical effects and everything, but then you got Sugar Ray playing in the background.
They see this glowing, radiating alien artifact, and it's like, I want to have sex with it, or I want it to have sex with me.
We've been on board 12 days. I'm asking about a robot's the first sign of interest you've shown in this ship or crew.
I got a captain that watches cartoons.
He's working on his PhD.
Computer tech that calls his mainframe sweetie. 2 medical techs are practicing anatomy in any dark corner they can find.
I've been on 6 paramedic tours with this crew. They get the job done. We're out here for months. Nothing happens. People get lonely.
Donnie, welcome back to the show, man. It's good to have you again.
Nick, thank you. It's great to be here again. Always love doing this.
This is now 3 out of the 5 seasons of the show where you've been the first guest. Of the season. You were the first overall guest ever. And then you came back, and I think it was the start of season 4. We did Event Horizon. Might have been 3. I don't know. I've done a lot of episodes now, so I've lost track.
Yeah, and then, so what's this season gonna, what's
this is season
called?
5.
Wow.
This is season 5. So
Man, you knocking them down.
yes, I've managed to stay consistent and get through
Mhm.
sort of like the burnout phase of podcasting, and I managed to like
Yep. Yeah.
circumvent that, and then probably like the last probably like 5 months of 2025, I changed my approach a little bit and
hmm
really came up with like a plan. And then that plan sort of like evolves more over time. But I was like, this wasn't gonna be the first episode. But then I was like, well, Donnie's been the first episode guy a couple of times, so I might as well do it
God.
again. And then we just keep starting every year with you back as the guest.
But you keep starting off these seasons with awesome topics. So it's like, is this strictly space horror? This beginning
No,
of the season, or
I tend to do sci-fi movies in January. I mean,
Okay.
we do space horror because that's,
Exactly, yeah.
appropriate for us, but
Right.
I just try to do things that are like, new year, a little bit
Mhm.
forward looking, a little bit futuristic. So yeah, I think this fits the bill. But since
Okay.
you're the guest of honor, why don't you introduce the movie that we're talking about today?
All right. Yeah. You mentioned sci-fi. My brain goes sci-fi horror, space horror. It's my favorite genre.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have much of, but we are doing Supernova, a movie that I did not catch when it came out in the year 2000. It didn't look very pleasing at the time, but so I actually just saw this movie this year, or 2025, for the first time, and boy, it was instant bad movie love. As I was watching it, I was like, "This is right up the alley of bad movies we love." But yeah, it's little space horror that looks like it should have been bigger than it was, and we'll get into all that. But I was instantly fell in love with it, but after I watched it and kept thinking about it, I was like, man, this is just it's just fun. And we'll get into the reasons why it is and why it might not be for some. But yeah, Supernova.
Because you were deep diving space horror films,
Exactly,
right? And
that's
so
right,
this
yeah,
was
right.
one of them.
I think I announced it to no one, to the ether and Twitter or X, that, man, you know what? I'm going to go searching for all those space horror movies that I haven't seen, because it's not a big genre. There's not a ton of space horror films out there. So I just started deep diving, finding all that I could. And this was one that came up, and when it was easy to find. Shout Factory has a copy of it, which I plan on getting already. But this is one, and and we'll get into that too, but it had so many people in it that I like.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned it, I was like, I don't know that I know this movie.
Mhm.
And then when I started looking it up, I'm like, I don't know if I know this movie. But then as I was watching it, I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, oh wait, I remember Peter Facinelli's face. I remember his very specific look that he has in this movie as it gets a little bit longer towards the end. I was like, okay, so my brain just like deleted everything else about it.
Mhm.
But this was a movie that I saw at home, probably on cable, and
Okay.
I'm watching cable late at night. This comes on. I'm like, sure, this makes sense for everything else it's on. It kind of has the feel, despite the fact that it cost as much as it did, it has the feel of like a cable made movie. It doesn't necessarily feel Hollywood, and that's both good and bad. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But let's just go to the details right now. We'll take a look, because this was directed by a lot of people, as it turns out. And that makes it very difficult to have a cohesive film, because there's no singular vision here. But it was directed by Walter Hill. Jack Sholder was brought on. Hill was offered the job back. And then ultimately Francis Ford Coppola was brought in to do some reshoots and some edits. And I don't know, none of them, I think, wanted to make the same movie. But it was written by William Malone, Daniel Chuba, and David C. Wilson, starring, of course, James Spader, Peter Facinelli, Robin Tunney, and Angela Bassett. So really good overall cast. but just not an overall good result. And it's
I think you nailed it. It's not a single vision, and you notice that right away when you get into the film. Like one thing's happening that makes it feel like one film, and another thing's happening that makes it like another film, and it seems like it's. I think right off the bat, like that explains a lot of what went wrong with this movie, and something I think everyone can pick up on as soon as you start watching it.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any way to watch this and even like really understand what the movie's about, because there is like there's a through line. There is a story, which is deep space rescue mission, alien artifact, bad thing incoming. And so it's like that's what you should be working the story towards, but you give us a supporting role from Robert Forster, and then it's like, okay, just yeah, he's here, but whatever. Lou Diamond Phillips is also in it, but he spends a good portion of the movie having sex with the alien artifact. Or I mean, he's like elbow deep in it at one point. So I'm just like, and it's like, look, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also kind of not kidding, because this movie's very horny. There's a lot of sex in this movie for a sci-fi movie from this era, just for a sci-fi movie in general, I would say. But then there is a moment where Lou Diamond Phillips goes into the room, and then the next time they see him, he's like shirtless and he's got his arm like deep into this thing. And I'm like, okay, like they're not even trying to hide the fact. So I think there was an identity of the movie maybe being something different and a little bit more like sexy than it ends up being, because this is like, it's horny and there are sex scenes, but I wouldn't describe the movie as a whole as sexy. Would you?
No, not that's a good point. Not overall. Those scenes feel like they were at it. You know right away, this film feels like it should have just been straight up horror. It feels like the original idea and things you look up and read about. Yeah, the people who originally had the ideas for the film, and it was supposed to be straight horror, and all these people getting their hands in it and their ideas in it, rewriting the script, reshooting, all this kind of stuff. So it's James Spader. Can he be in a movie that isn't slightly horny? But it just feels like those scenes were kind of, they make sense. It's not like they're out of place. They feel like they were kind of forced in. Like, I don't know if they, one of the big things you read about when you read about this movie is they were really, really cognizant and believe in thinking of trying not to be alien. That was a big thing they were worried about. They didn't want to be too much like Alien. And one of the ways to do that, let's make it sexy. Because there's, other than one scene of Ripley in her underwear, Alien is not sexy movie at all. And they actually try to avoid that in that movie. But overall, it's not. And I don't know why it was like a big force put in there. I would have went the route to make it more gory or like more like Event Horizon. You mentioned that as one of the best sci-fi horror movies ever, but I would have went that route instead of adding in the sexy stuff. Not that I hate the sexy stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a moment of dialogue where I forgot which character says it, but it's like, look, we're out here all alone in space. It's a long trip. People get lonely. So all that I understand, like that is, yeah, like you said, it doesn't not make sense. It's like the tone of the sex scenes doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. And to your point, they wanted to make it gorier. I think Walter Hill wanted to make it gorier, and then he was not part of the final version of the film. So that ends up like not happening. There was also like a lot of studio interference. So it just sort of like gets in the way. It's like, it's a really good example though of a movie that has like what I would say like is a good bones movie. Like I think all the tent poles are there for an interesting sci-fi horror film or a sci-fi thriller, and just there's too many people pulling it in too many different directions. And I was watching some interviews with Lou Diamond Phillips, and he's like, they would give us like new pages in the morning and be like, okay, learn this scene and then come and act it. So he's like, we don't even know what's going on in the story. We're trying to like emote and be present in these moments. And they just like struggled because that's what was happening. There's just constant rewrites. And I know James Spader himself was like, if you're going to watch my movies, like maybe this ain't the one. But I mean, to his credit, it's like he's rarely cast as like the traditional hero. And this is probably as close as he gets throughout his career, to the point where it's like he's sort of like the all-American hero archetype, or at least one of them, where he's like anti-hero, where he had like a sort of a checkered past, but he has reformed himself, and now he's sort of doing his civic duty, or he's like serving his time to do this particular mission. And like he's shirtless a lot, which I don't know if that's a thing that he normally does.
This is the most cut he's ever been.
He's in very good shape. So he put in a lot of work, sort of like obviously off camera, to like be that sort of lead character. But like the type of movie that it is, like you're in space. There's not really a reason to like be shirtless that often in a sci-fi movie. And that's, I think, part of it, is that they're like making reasons for people to just like take their clothes off. And so it's like, oh, you got to get into the weird pods naked, and then for some reason he's just we're running down the corridor. We're running down the corridor taking our clothes off, and like that's a very, I think, easy fix in some situations, like just a small writing thing that gets overlooked, where hey, maybe let's say that the temperature regulator is broken because we did get hit with a freaking asteroid, or we got hit with this like debris field, the ship is messed up. So, it's hotter in here than it should be, and everybody's taking their clothes off to stay cool. Boom, done, fixed. That, but yeah, the whole like everybody needs to get into their pods naked together, and the ship has like a zero gravity sex room, and it's like, oh, it's the observation deck. It's like the only thing people do in there is have sex.
Some sweet Kenny G music playing in the background. That's definitely sexy time.
I mean, look, I guess if you have like a 0G chamber that looks out into space and, healthy consenting adults, then
I think that's a good point. It feels like, as much as it talks about this movie had to be rewritten for why characters get to one place or why they make one decision. It's kind of baffles. And we're saying negative things about it. I enjoyed the movie, and I watched it again last night, and it's fun. But it does have its issues, and I can definitely see people having issues with it. But I would still recommend people see it because it's a good time. But in good conversations like this, I think the casting is one of the problems with it. I think nobody's bad in it, but I think they could have went with some more no names and add that to the fact, make it go straight horror. Like, because I think Spader is one character at the beginning where all he's doing is trying to get in bed with Bassett's character. And then as soon as, they go to hyperspace, come out, and Forrester's character is dead. Amazing practical effects, by the way, there. Yeah. He kind of goes into that, like you said, that all-American, just straightforward, no nonsense, dry line delivery. And it's fine. He plays a certain character there, so it's not bad. It's just, I would have what Facinelli was trying to do. I would like to see that from like the captain, like a crazy captain with great one-liners, quippy. So basically, like if the directors and writers who were there on set knew what they had in this, and they could have went fun and off the wall if they wanted to, but instead of trying to be super serious, it could have gone either way. But it seems like they tried, like you said, too many things and too many different ideas from different people. Kind of like you mentioned, the Diamond Films, they didn't know what was going on. It's like, how does an actor work in that kind of? How do they know? You hear a lot when films go bad is one person's making one movie and this actor's making this movie and this guy's making this movie. That kind of feels like what happened here. I love Lou Diamond Phillips. I love Bassett, Forrester, Spader. I think Benji, the actor that played Benji, that one was kind of that I don't recognize him from anywhere. That was the only acting that I didn't gel with in a movie. Even Facinelli, like I said, he seemed like he was on the right track of what this movie could have been in a fun way. Uh, but he's not the world's great. He's had some of my favorite lines in movies ever from Can't Hardly Wait, but he was the one that seemed like he knew what kind of movie he was in at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And then when you're dealing with the weird line readings and the constant rewrites, and they're just like, all right, now everybody take your clothes off, and it's like, what?
What are we? Is this
Okay, well, I agreed to do nudity, so we're gonna do it. But yeah, I think the actors are sort of much better than the totality of the material.
Yeah.
If I had to sort of pinpoint it seems like who the lead is supposed to be sort of bounces around a little bit too much, because obviously it's right. Spader, he's top billed, he's the hero figure, but I feel like Angela Bassett spends a good percentage of the film being the actual lead character. There's a whole segment where Spader's just gone. Mm-hmm. And then so it's all right, well, Facinelli's dominating the screen time, but he's obviously the villain, so he's the B-side. Robert Forster is too good of an actor to be relegated to melting pod guy. You know, he has a monologue in the very beginning, and then the movie's happening so fast. He had a bigger role before all the deleted scenes came in, but looking at the amount of deleted scenes this movie has, there's a lot, and I actually think that this is a case where maybe watching the deleted scenes makes it a better movie. Because you actually just get more of the characters. The movie's hurtling through its premise very, very quickly. True. And so things are just kind of have to happen. And I like Spader, but he's also a guy who's kind of always good as a supporting role or just a different character design. Because it's I think he can still be the hero in this, but if you take Forrester's character and you bring him into the movie for a longer period of time so that they can kind of play off of each other and sort of you get the dynamic between them a little bit more, and you see the veteran sort of seniority out of Forrester's captain, and then sort of the prickly rebellious ex-con type of energy from Spader. Then by the time that you get to the end, when the captain maybe has to make a heroic sacrifice, it's a better sort of payoff and an easier setup for Spader to just be handed sort of the hero role in that moment, rather than he's gone for 20 minutes towards the end, and I don't know, it's clanky.
Even if they wanted to keep the whole sexiness type vibe for the whole movie, why let Vincent get in bed with Evers that quickly in the movie? Make that be them be icy toward, or just that play, because there is some good chemistry there when the Hazen stuff is kind of corny, but the Bassett, she's incredible. She can do that in her sleep, and Spader can do that stuff in his sleep. So let them do that the whole movie, but she gives it up for a bottle of pear brandy. I don't know if they wanted to do that for the whole movie. That could have been more interesting, or just give Bassett the lead. She can handle it. She's actually she's in Critters 4, which just takes place in space a few years earlier, well, in the early 90s, I think it was. So she can handle. She's a badass in that movie too, which is it's an underrated, low budget sci-fi horror. But I don't know. Anything but what they got.
Yeah, she's certainly more than capable. And by the way, I did see Critters 2. I don't want to get off on a huge tangent, but I did see it. I got to record on a friend's show about it and had a lot of fun with it. Okay, let's take a look at the tail of the tape. We'll figure out why we're talking about this movie at all, besides the fact that you brought it to my attention. But it has an IMDb score of 4.9, a Metascore of 19, a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 11%, an audience score of 18%. Letterboxd has it at a 2.2 overall, and a Google users thumbs up rating of 44%. So it has a Bad Movies We Love total score of 30.8 out of 100. So pretty far down there. Yeah, it's It's pretty bad. It's one of the lowest overall scored movies that I've talked about in a while, but I like looking at movies like this because it is sort of like reverse engineering a problem. Like this movie had the budget, it had the cast, it had the writers, it had the studio backing, it had all the things in place where it should have worked, but I don't know. It seemed like it was afraid to sort of go the tried and true path, and so it does something a little bit atypical, and then one person doesn't like that trickles down, and that like one decision to just like we don't want to be alien ends up like causing all these other problems.
Right.
And we end up with a movie that like was a huge box office failure, and a movie that most people forget about. It's a movie that I had seen, and basically my brain deleted almost all of it. But then I was like, oh, I remember this part very, very clearly. And the Buffy the Vampire Slayer makeup. And I was like, yes, okay. So I have seen this movie, but yeah, I obviously didn't retain much of it 20 years ago. And I haven't watched it since, but nice to revisit. And I don't think, like, I'm not going to like punch down on the movie. It definitely has its issues, but I think for movies like this that sort of have very high aspirations and that also cost a lot of money to make, those are the ones that end up sort of sticking out like a sore thumb, because it's more of like a market failure. There's more of a litmus test of failure, because it's like, hey, this wasn't some small budget movie that was bad. This is like, this is a movie that had everything it needed. It had all the cards, but it just didn't know how to play the hand, and then it ends up, being a bust. So sorry for the poker analogy for everybody, like the cards playing, but I don't know. It just got in there. I will say though, in this movie, they have these like circular or like disc shaped playing cards, and I was like, that's super cool. That's a cool future thing, because I don't think I've ever seen a movie that has redesigned playing cards into the future.
Battlestar Galactica does it. And it's very well in the Battle, which is a show and comes mid 2000s. But I think they're like hexagon. I can't remember now, but it's cool. It's different in future. And they play a lot of cards in that show too. Okay. So it's an amazing show. but yeah, you're right. It had everything, but it's this they didn't know what they wanted it to be, because we mentioned the different people with their hands in it, but there was also places that were working on it was changing leadership all the time. It seems like the CGI company had changeover, the studio itself had MGM or whatever had changeover. So then you get new people coming in and they want to throw their ideas in the hat. So this was just like wrong place, wrong time kind of movie. It felt like. But to talk some good things about the movie, like speaking of the budget, like I thought it looked good. Like it's not perfect. There's some cool futuristic looking stuff in it. I think the CGI looks good in it. I talked about practical effects. Like a lot of the practical effects look good in it. There's some really good practical effects in the trailer that isn't in the movie, which you'll notice. But I thought I don't know if I kind of like the camera sways. It sways the camera a lot, and when the characters are standing still and talking, and that would probably upset a lot of people. But it was kind of cool. I liked it. It had some kind of vision there, at least, again, the acting's good, the score is hit or miss at times. It's not perfect, but it's like you said, it's had all these pieces that if it just would have had like a singular vision, it would have been so much better. Or it would have been something than an amalgamation of everybody and everything.
Yeah, I think the production design is good, but also the movie uses a lot of close-up and a lot of like medium angle shots, so the background is not as much of a focal point. So like all the work that goes into the design of the ship and sort of like the future environment, it feels very crowded because they're pushing in a lot, and then there's a lot of like sort of like neon backlighting going on. So there's a lot of sort of like overexposure in moments, which gives it a kind of like weird, unique feeling. But it's very hard when you're sort of playing in that pink and blue light spectrum to then back out and actually like show us the environment that they're in the kind of detail that it has. But like if you look at photos, like set photos, and if you look at like still frames from the movie, there's some really like interesting design that they did like inside the ship itself. And it looks pretty cool. So I like the design of the ship. You know, there's the moment where he goes down to like the planet surface and they have to like shoot that on sort of like miniatures and green screen combo, and that looks really good. And so like the skill and the talent was there, and this is maybe a movie that just like died in the editing room more than anything. That's why I was saying, like, as I was watching the deleted scenes, I feel like watch them. Like if there's a way to watch the movie with those deleted scenes in sequential order rather than watching them at the end, that might be like the best way to watch this movie. There's like an autopsy scene that I think is pretty fascinating. It gives Angela Bassett some really like good character backstory. Robert Forster's beginning of the film has a much longer intro, like rather than just talking about like violent cartoons or whatever he's talking about. I'm just like, I'm like, the year's 2430 something, right? Like, are they making cartoons 300 years in the future? It's 2025 now, and they're already basically outsourcing animation away from animators. So like, is it realistic that like, you're writing a thesis? The captain is studying for his PhD and writing a thesis on violent cartoons while flying through space. Very, very strange. But like he gets more. Everybody, I think, just gets more. And you mentioned Benji, who's the computer tech. That was originally, I think, going to be D'Onofrio, and he walks at one point. But there's this whole like AI thing with him training the computer and rewriting protocols and all this, and like it's like kind of the focal point, but not enough for it to actually have the payoff. So it's like you're pulling at the right thread, but there wasn't enough time pulling at that thread. And so the movie's like, it's so quick anyway. Like, give it an extra half an hour, include all the extra scenes. It's fine.
Yeah. This is one of the films that you're right. This is one of those films that I think could have been beneficial from being a longer run time. Because when you make a film that's a supposedly space horror and it's an hour and 30 minutes, like I expect some horrific scenes, some longer fights. These people die off so quick. Like Robin Tunney, I can't remember. We hadn't talked about her. She was one of the big things I remember about when this movie came out, because I was a huge Kraft fan, huge Empire Records fan.
Yeah, Empire Records like 2 years before this, 98, 99.
Yeah, so I really liked her. So that's one reason why I remembered this movie. I remember that it came out. She dies so quickly. She just out in space. Lou Diamond Phillips, like he starts getting these powers and stuff, and then the fight is like not even a minute long. And I think the longest scene where Facinelli's character is killing someone is the Benji. That takes the longest
because there's that whole bit of dialogue where he's got to like spell it out to the computer. I'm like, this is taking way too long. Like, you didn't earn this moment. And even if you did, like, you obviously didn't train the computer well enough to like understand the severity of the situation here. Because like to go through that like long-winded speech of like, this is why you have to save me, just to like get pummeled to death anyway.
Right. And it's just been the scene, like it's supposed to be this dramatic scene. It's just him just laying there.
It's so unceremonious. And I'm just like, oh, this computer, like not bright. And it listens to it listens to Facinelli too. It's like voice command only, and then he's like, all right, sweetie, tell me what's what. It listens to this guy too. Like, man, this guy's not a good computer programmer, but I mean, so be it. But let's set the table here for the audience. So we'll get to cover a lot of the sort of details that we've been talking about in a little bit more specificity. So Supernova first began in 1990 as a low-budget sci-fi thriller called Dead Star, which was pitched at the time as Dead Calm in Space. After MGM bought the project, the script went through years of rewrites, gradually transformed into a deep space medical rescue story involving a ship being pulled towards a black hole. So the film struggled almost immediately with creative conflict. The original director, Jeffrey Wright, left over major disagreements, including a rejected idea to shoot the movie as if the whole thing was in zero gravity. So that happened just 2 months before filming, and then Vincent D'Onofrio exited with him as well, right before or right around the time that Spader was cast in the lead. Walter Hill, who was the writer and producer on the Alien films, was brought in after Spader personally asked for him, but fears of a potential actors strike at the time forced MGM to rush production in 1998, giving Hill only 2 months' time to prep for the shoot. So from the start, Hill's darker, stranger vision clashed with the studio's desire for a slick, sexy sci-fi thriller. Filming began in 1998, quickly ran into trouble. The budget was cut in half, I think, during production.
Oh, wow.
A planned visual effects partnership collapsed, and roughly half of the movie's effect shots were scrapped. Several ambitious scenes, including advanced robots, major zero-G set pieces, and a more grotesque villain transformation, were either scaled back or entirely removed. And after filming wrapped, Hill spent months editing his cut, which still lacked finished effects. MGM insisted on test screenings of that anyway, and Hill warned them this is not a good idea. Surprise, audience hated it. And then Hill quit the movie, so MGM hired Jack Sholder to re-edit the film and shoot new material. His version removed character building moments, added humor, replaced the film's score, changed the ship's computer, and then gave Spader's character a more traditional hero moment. So test reactions were better for that, but the new studio execs, because there was a change at the studio, were not satisfied either. So then they asked back Hill to come and finish the movie, but he demanded more time and money, which they refused, and so he walked away. And so in a final attempt to save the film, MGM brings in Francis Ford Coppola, who I think was sitting on the board of MGM at the time, to supervise another re-edit. And then this version added digitally altered love scenes, new dialogue recorded in post-production, and more story changes. So 4 different endings were filmed overall. None of it worked, and Hill ultimately removed his name from the movie altogether. But nonetheless, Supernova was released in January of 2000, nearly 2 years late. MGM expected it to fail, and it did. The film earned just $14.8 million worldwide against a roughly $90 million budget, losing an estimated $83 million. The end result was a movie shaped by 3 directors, multiple rewrites, 4 endings, and constant studio interference, making Supernova a textbook example of big-budget sci-fi meltdown.
Well, there you go. That spells disaster. It seems like it's just one of those things. They spent money here, they spent money there, spent money along the way, and they're like, we spent all this money on it. We just got to release it as it is. It just get what, because they tried to sell it, right? Like,
yep.
Just to get it off their hands, or whatever. So I don't know. It's lucky for me. It's a space horror movie, so I'm immediately intrigued. I will watch anything space horror, and it's kind of goofy in times, and I can make fun of it, but actually enjoy it. So it's something that I enjoy. Luckily, I would have liked to have seen this in a theater with an audience, like just to see people not getting what they expected and just seething, like what is happening on the screen. Like this, I would have had, and so this came out in 2000. That's the year I graduated high school. I'd have been 18, and I could go see a movie like that.
There's something in that the read of the notes that I wanted to look back at, because I kind of I went over it fast because there's so much information. But so when Coppola came back, or when he came in to direct, one of the things that he did was the visual digitally altered love scene. Digitally altered love scene. And so, yes, for people that are curious of what that means, there's a scene very early in the film where Lou Diamond Phillips and Robin Tunney are in the zero-G sex room, and they're floating around. And so when Coppola comes in, he wanted more of the love story between Spader and Angela Bassett, but they didn't have the footage. So he goes in and he puts Angela Bassett's face and James Spader's face on the bodies of the footage of Lou Diamond Phillips and Robin Tunney, and they digitally altered the skin color, is what they did. So, that's what I'm saying. It's it's not earned. You know, in a lot of traditional moments of sort of hero building, it's there's tension between him and the love interest, and there's this back and forth, and sort of the end is where it's safe to finally have the payoff of that moment. And so to do it in the way that they did it here, to just I don't know, give them backstory or chemistry, it's they had chemistry anyway. And I kind of would have preferred maybe she shuts him down when he shows up with a bottle of peach brandy. take the bottle of brandy and then shut the door in his face. And then so there's like a little bit more cat and mouse. But to know that Francis Ford Coppola was thinking like this is a good idea. I'm like, like he's made some really good movies, made some really bad ones. But like, yeah, he's so deep in the hole at this point by the time he even takes on this project that it's like, all right, re-edit some stuff, use the footage you have. What are we gonna do? Yeah, this seems like a good idea. My God, he must have been drinking a lot of pear-flavored brandy.
Pear brandy, yeah. I don't think he had any stock in it or cared like what he was doing. He just wanted, I'm gonna try. I want to do this. I want to sexy time. I mean, this movie it kind of goes upon there's like even dialogue in this movie that is overtly sexual. It doesn't need to be. I think Lou Diamond Phillips at some says, "Last time we jumped, I didn't shit right for a week." Like what is that? Why do you need to say that? That's something from Bad Santa or something. Or even when they see the alien artifact, we haven't really even talked about. They're saying different things about, and then Tunney's character was like, or maybe it's an alien sex object.
Yeah.
Why you say that? Why you put that? Why say that?
That's what I'm saying. The movie is super horny. She sees it and like that looks like, and then they cut her off before she says it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, a butt plug, dildo, like she's got. Look, they're all horny. They see this glowing, radiating alien artifact, and it's like, I want to have sex with it, or I want it to have sex with me. Those are the only two options in this movie.
I don't get it, man. And there's just like the whole awkward scene where the camera is on Facinelli's butt for like a whole minute when he walks out naked in front of Tony's character, or Danica, that's her name. And she's just like lost for words the whole time. She's like, or she says something to Bassett when Facinelli's character first gets there. She's like, "This was your worst nightmare?" Like, geez, lady, like stop drooling.
Well, there's a moment where she first examines Facinelli, like after he comes back in the rescue pod, and he's like laying down, and like that's a really cool effect with like the body scan in the chamber. Very cool.
Yeah,
looks great. But she's talking about like his bones are larger or something. And then he like gets out of the shower and he's like hanging dong in front of Danica, and she's like, "Oh my God, his bones are larger than usual." So it's the sort of like low hanging fruit of like this woman saw a penis and she's just like she's just like all giddy and stuff. It was like you introduced us to her having sex with the other guy. Like she can't really be that enamored unless this is like an otherworldly dong, which it might be. Maybe that's what the thing is doing to people. They're getting stronger, they're getting younger, getting bigger wieners. I mean, look. If you could package that and sell it, people would be buying it.
Yeah, but he ain't no La Bamba. So. You got La Bamba Young Gun there.
Yeah. All right, let's do the synopsis haikus and head over there and see what we got. I'll go first this time.
All right.
The crew was horny. In deep space, rescues are hard. It's all gonna blow.
Of course you did. That's perfectly. That is in the mindset of the film. It's the innuendos. Yeah, love it.
I was like, this thing is like right at home on like 1 a.m. Cinemax. It's like it knew the assignment. It's like, this is our core audience. They're gonna love it.
Okay. Oh man, yeah. When you get to the trailer, I hope it's the one I saw. Mine is Proof of Life Beyond. Spader, Bassett. Sexy time. Bomb that creates life.
Okay, I like that. See, you mentioned the bomb creates life, right? And I think there's like a kind of weird poetic justice in the purpose of this device, and there's just like not a lot of gravitas or energy expelled on that side of things. I mean, granted, like the reveal of that moment sort of like comes later in the movie, and so you don't have a ton of time to like grapple with like the universal like moralistic nature of such a device that hey, this thing, it will destroy galaxies, but it also in turn then creates like new life.
That's that's the problem, right? If that is your whole theme and thesis of the film, of the writing in the on the script, that's where you litter that throughout the whole movie from the beginning. I think Sunshine is a perfect example of a great script that has heady stuff like that reveals itself completely at the end, but everything it's working towards. I don't want to spoil that movie for anyone. Go see that movie. Sunshine's incredible. But it litters throughout the whole film what the film is about, and that's one of the main problems with this movie. But how's this movie going to get there when what we've already talked about, so many hands are in the pot, to say?
Yeah, because you have a character like Robert Forster, who's like the senior actor on the cast as well, and then he's removed from it, so you don't have like that leadership guy who could be maybe contemplating these kind of things, or at least be responsible for that. And then you have I don't know if he's the youngest, but Facinelli is really young in this movie.
Yeah.
And so when he is the one who's like, yeah, this is, I'm the guy who's going to be the champion of this artifact or whatever, and I'm fighting for it, and it's my thing. But then to also be like, well, I just want to turn into like a giant bone monster. Really, that's what I want. Like, he doesn't sell the idea of what like the upside of this thing is, because it's like, look, I'm not gonna like spend too much time on sort of the MCU comparison with like a Thanos character, but the idea is that like Thanos wants to balance the universe not out of some hatred for living beings. It's sort of a moralistic decision for him, where he's weighing sort of what the universe is consuming versus like what's left resource wise. And he's like, well, the thing I need to do is to do this in order to like make sure that the universe survives. And so it gives him more as a villain than just like, I'm sort of blindly evil. And so maybe Facinelli's too young to play that type of character, and I kind of felt that. Like, I wanted him to maybe be a little bit older, because Lou Diamond Phillips doesn't like feel old in this movie.
Well, the character's older.
Yeah, exactly.
Facinelli's character is older, but because he's Carl.
Yes.
He's become younger because of this alien artifact. But you're right, he doesn't, and you wouldn't want him to portray that until he reveals that. But it should be hidden, and it should be there underneath, and then it should make sense. Like, oh, well, I see why he was acting this way or that way. So you're right. Like, if he could have acted more in that way, that would go with that, the whole thing of the alien artifact, or what you mentioned with Forster being the old life that goes away. And maybe if Spader's becoming the new captain, maybe he wasn't that good at it. Maybe he's great at it. He's quick. He makes quick decisions for the good of the crew and to get back. So maybe if he if he had to wrestle with that at first, that's something they could have went with down that line too. That would have been on the thematic scale.
Yeah, I think with Facinelli, I think it's just like the character doesn't have the maturity of an older person. The behavior is still very much like 20-somethings coded.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I know that he's like definitely getting younger, but is it also like affecting his brain chemistry, where it's like he's now back to like a 20-something-year-old brain, and like before it's solidified or anything? I don't know. But let's take a look at the trailer, and we'll the alien Benjamin Button. All right, let's take a look at the trailer. We'll see.
Oh man, I hope this is the trailer I saw.
Well, let's find out. This is I don't know. I'm not expecting to be wowed here, because it's listed as Robert Forster movie, which I mean would be probably like one of the worst ways to describe this if you were trying to like tell somebody what this movie is. All right, but let's see. Before we get to the trailer, it's time for a quick commercial from the multiverse. Did you know that on average, Americans spend about 63 hours a year sitting in traffic? That's time that you could be spending with your family, learning a new skill, or watching movies. Wouldn't it be great if you could get those hours back? Well, now you can, thanks to the S-Class Dimension Drive from Dead Star Technologies. The Dimension Drive creates a straight line between two fixed points in the universe and allows you to travel at faster than the speed of light. your time is valuable. So reclaim yours with the S-Class Dimension Drive from Death Star Tech. Side effects may include unwanted matter transfer, mental degradation, upset stomach, heartburn, indigestion, diarrhea, and constipation. Consult a physician to see if your heart is healthy enough for dimensional travel. And now, back to the show.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay. Sugar Ray, babe. Off the bat.
Welcome to the world of medical rescue vessel Nightingale 9.
You want to tell me what you're doing out here?
I like deep space. It's quiet.
Prepare for rescue operation via dimension jump.
Research says D-jump is great for your sexual stamina.
Hallelujah. You can play with me whenever you want. I'm not saying anything's
Even the computer's
gonna happen between us, but if it does, I want you to understand that whatever happens on this ship stays on this ship. Hi-ho, Silver.
It was their time and their space until they answered a distress signal that would change everything.
What do we got? SOS
Matrix
critical.
music?
Because
the music is very
survivor they brought
2000s.
aboard
You know, worst nightmare I ever met.
This is your worst nightmare?
was carrying deadly cargo.
It's not man-made. It's buried in the middle of an iceberg.
It's the most amazing thing any of us is ever gonna see.
Lucky for us, huh?
Or maybe something so dangerous that the only way somebody could find to get rid of it was by burying it.
And he's about to turn the heavens.
That's a cool
This thing
Yeah,
is changing.
I like that.
In the most amazing ways.
There's the vampire face.
Yep.
Into hell.
That's not it. What is
nope.
that? What is that?
Quato.
I hadn't have done that. Open your mouth. I wish I hadn't have done that either.
I've got
Get
my
outta
worst
here.
situations. We'll get out of this one.
You said you've been in worse situations than this. When was that?
10 minutes ago when the ship was falling.
This makes it seem like it's a comedy,
It
honestly.
does. Yes. Wait for the tagline.
If you can't stand the heat, get out of the universe.
I'm coming.
Something for me to eat.
Wow.
Supernova.
It's like
Okay.
It's like Peter Facinelli's playing a Jim Carrey villain, basically.
Yeah. Smoker.
Right? I mean, Jim Carrey would have been good, I think, in that role because he's got more
Yeah.
maturity.
Hey. But you see that trailer, like, what are you expecting when you go to see this movie at the theater or press play? That trailer is, you're seeing these kind of fast-paced, gruesome images with the practical effects and everything, but then you got Sugar Ray playing in the background, all the sexual innuendos that it can come up with, and then if you can't stand the heat, get out of the universe, man. I love that trailer.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, the movie, the tone of the movie is nothing like that
No.
at
No.
all.
Nope.
Not that I would have been mad at it. Like if the movie was like, hey, we're gonna be like a sci-fi comedy, but an intense sort of comedy that has these
Yeah.
real stakes, I would have been like, okay, I can kind of vibe with that. Make sure the needle drops work, make sure the soundtrack works, and I think we're okay. But yeah, this is like selling a completely different kind of movie. Like the studio execs at this point must have just been like, this is a pile of shit. We got to figure out a way to get people to see this. All right, spend some money on the music, get the licensing, make sure that that's there. And then hopefully people will think of it as like a party movie. I don't know. That was bizarre, man.
And then what's his face from the character from Total Recall?
Quato, yeah.
Where was he at in the movie?
Yeah, it's again a deleted scene where Spader's down on the planet and he sees like a baby.
Okay.
Which was okay. So Troy, the character that we first think Peter Facinelli is, right?
Mhm.
He actually is that baby. That's Troy, and he's the one. He's not the one. He's like, that's the reveal. And then there's like actually a second computer that's supposed to be down there on the planet too that like fills in Spader with exposition. But instead they're just like, no, delete that 20 minutes of the movie. And yeah, James Spader, you're our lead, but you're not even here. And so there was this thing with the studio too about like, we don't want it to be like to become like a monster movie in that way, even though that was sort of like its original intent. They wanted, like I said, he wants to become like a bone monster at the end, right? And so I'm like, yeah, you can just like, even if he's just like a bony vampire, like the way that they sort of like had his face was a little bit puffed out, like around the cheekbones, look more pronounced, very much like Buffy era vampire design, and I'm totally okay with that.
Right. Think of Jason X. How Jason looks in Jason. That shit's fun.
Yeah, he's big cheekbones is scary.
Yeah.
So I think if you just had stayed with that, that's okay. But what's weird to me is that the studio's like, no, we don't want the actor buried under makeup. We want it to be like Facinelli. Like we want to see him. However, when James Spader, who's your lead, who's gone from the movie for 15 to 20 minutes, comes back, he's in a fucking spacesuit where you can't see his goddamn face.
Right.
So it's like the guy who's the guy for you isn't even showing his face, but you use the rationale to be like, don't put makeup on the villain.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is all ass backwards. So I don't know. This must have been like the winding down days of like, we got coked up and we thought all this stuff was great, and then it wore off, and we were like left to have to rationalize those decisions, and now we don't know what we were doing. It was just so strange. But yes, I like the sort of bony knuckles and the sort of like plasma energy stuff going on. That was really cool. And it makes it, like you said earlier with the Lou Diamond Phillips fight, it would have made sense had the fight been a little bit more competitive. Because we like they're almost on the same team at one point, right? They were about to sort of, I don't know what they were going to do with the thing when they were trying to get into the room, and he's like, I forgot the code, or they changed the code, and he's like, here, let me try mine. Yeah. How did you do that? And it's like, I thought they were going to be like alien bros, and then it's like, no, I'm going to kill you right now. And so very, very weird in terms of timing. Like I thought you guys were going to tag team this thing.
Yeah, that's actually if Lou Diamond Phillips' character would have turned there and started like, because not only he's got this power thing, but he's all depressed about his woman and everything, and then so he kills her. She was already dead at that point, right? But
yeah,
she didn't have
out of the airlock. Get out of here.
Make Lou Diamond Phillips kill her instead, or he kills both of them. They kill each other. Or he kills himself along with her, like something like. I mean, come on, you're making a space movie, whether it's horror or not. Let your imagination run wild, man, and just there's almost nothing you can't do when you think about movies in the future. We don't know what the future holds. Like, don't sit there and worry about, well, we got to please this audience or that audience, or we got to get this audience to come in. Or man, just that's man, it's so close. It's like that commercial. Is it Geico or Progressive with the guy fishing? He has $1 on the end of the fishing line. It's like, oh, you almost had it. It's so close.
Yeah, it's right on the cusp. Like I said, if the movie had carried the tone of the trailer and was like, we're gonna be a zany kind of space comedy with real stakes, I think it probably works, because then you really only need Angela Bassett to be the anchor of like this unseriousness. Like, she stays true because she's a doctor, and that like sort of makes sense, and everybody around her is kind of a fuck up. Like, that totally makes sense. And you can work with that. Or you have to go like the completely opposite direction. We're going to be like overly self-serious on everything, and then it's like, well, that's too much like Alien. So like, well, how do we split the difference? Everybody take your clothes off.
For no reason at all.
Yeah, just do it. You're running down the hallway, take your clothes off. So I don't know. Very, very weird tonal combinations going on here.
The end, like, just it's coming, that she's got the Sweetie's gonna say that Bassett's character is pregnant. Like, it's that's coming. That wasn't a reveal or anything. And it's just like, really? You need like that? Why?
They changed that too. I think that might have been Coppola as well, because that was not the original. That wasn't the original voiceover. And like, if you watch, you don't have to watch even that carefully, but there's some bad ADR going on in some of the scenes, especially between Spader and Bassett. I think I don't know if they're in the cockpit, but they're somewhere isolated. And I thought like the movie was lagging or something. And then I was like, oh no, I was like, they just ADR'd this entire conversation to try to make them more of a couple than they actually were. And I think in a movie where we already have had like sex with these two characters to lead it off, then that character has sex with the other character. So it's like, okay, I think there's enough sex in the movie where like we don't also need these two characters to have sex. I almost feel like they're good. I understand the chemistry, but the payoff of them being in the pod together and having that like intimate moment is less intimate because we know they've already had this moment earlier. So it's like her being like, no, I want you to be in the pod. Like, we'll take our chances. And then he says something like, oh, I could think of worse ways to die. Right. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot worse ways to die than that, sir. So yeah, the original voiceover at the end was something like, I think the DNA transfer was in it, but then it was like, oh yeah, by the way, this shockwave is going to reach Earth in 200 something years. So, but instead it's like, oh no, 50 years. And then the movie's over. Like no consideration for the planning of this event in the future. Not like we need to get home. We need to warn people and try to like prepare for this before it happens. Nothing like that. It's like, oh no, look, you have a blue eye. You got a brown eye and you're pregnant. Okay, the movie's over now. Yeah, I guess like sweet enough, sweet enough. But how do you feel about doing a little bit of trivia right now?
Time for trivia.
Well, I'm sure there's tons of ways this can go, but let's do it. This movie has so much background noise to it, behind the scenes and in the scenes.
Yeah, it wasn't as easy to form the trivia questions as I thought, but there is a lot of interesting bonus trivia. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. All right, question 1.
Oh, okay.
While Walter Hill ultimately removed his name from the film, this was the first post-Alan Smithy director pseudonym usage. Which pen name was Hill given instead?
Oh, they use Thomas Lee now.
That is correct, sir.
I was about to say Thomas Jane for some reason. I don't know. No, yeah, I remember when I first learned about all that, about how they use a pen name for just everyone that wanted their name. That was interesting. I learned that back when I was younger.
So for many, many years, directors who, for whatever reason, wished to not be associated with the film that they worked on would have their name replaced with Alan Smithy in a variety of spellings. And then in 1997, there was a movie. Oh God, I forgot the title, but it's something like the Alan Smithy story. I think it's Burn, Hollywood Burn.
Is it a documentary about all that?
No, I don't even think it is. It's just it's like sort of like a fictionalized but real story about a director who's trying to get his name taken off of a project. It wasn't even a good movie as far as I could tell. They said it released in like 19 theaters, but anyway, that movie sort of became accidentally a little bit better well known than it was intended. And so because of that, people started to figure out like what that name meant. And so after that, the Directors Guild changed it. So that's when it became Thomas Lee. And I think this is the first usage of Thomas Lee.
Oh, this is the first one. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. I think I learned, because I went down a rabbit hole in IMDb years ago, and I was like, who's this Alan Smithy guy that I keep seeing coming up, and that's when I learned about all that. And then, now it's changed. Now it's Thomas Lee. That's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. Let's head over to question 2. Angela Bassett turned down which film to star in this movie?
A little film that the person that replaced her won an Oscar for, Monsters Ball.
That's right. Halle Berry goes on to win an Oscar for Monsters Ball, and Angela Bassett is like, what have I done? What have I done?
I think Bassett would have been.
Yeah, she would have killed it.
Halle Berry. I like Halle Berry. Don't get me wrong, but Bassett in that movie, in Monsters Ball, dude, I think she would have been even better.
She would have been great. I don't know how much she got paid or how her agent convinced her that like this was the right choice, or maybe, in reading about this, Robin Tunney mentions that everybody was expected to be naked, but Angela Bassett didn't want to do it, and so I'm curious if something about. But I mean, granted, this script had nudity in it. I would think, obviously, Monsters Ball has some nudity in it. It's a little bit more like graphic and sort of real in Monsters Ball, and maybe that's the thing that like turned her away from it at the time. But yeah, I wish I could see an interview with her about like, hey, how do you feel about this decision now that you've had a chance to look back out on it?
Well, she did. She should have probably won for her Tina Turner role.
Oh yeah, wasn't that a TV movie though?
I thought she was nominated for it.
I think she probably was Golden Globe nominated, but if it was a TV movie, she wouldn't have gotten an Oscar.
I thought it was an Oscar nomination. But
What's Love got to do with it? Yeah, amazing movie.
So I remember seeing her in this like small span of years doing Boys in the Hood, and that, and what was the other thing? Malcolm X. I like, she's amazing, and then she did the Tina Turner movie, and the dude. Yeah, so she could have won.
Yeah, that was like my first introduction to Lawrence Fishburne too, as Ike Turner, and it was like, whoa, this dude's good. Yeah, very good. Okay, let's go to question 3. Had to rework this one a little bit because I spoiled it with the production read. So anyway, how many times did Lou Diamond Phillips turn down this role before finally accepting?
Oh man, so I'll say twice.
4 times.
4 times? Oh my God.
4 times. They kept coming to him with the script, and he's like, get this away from me. And then they're like, no, Walter Hill's part of the project now. He's like, oh, really, Walter? Walter wants to talk to me? Yeah, and so he wanted to work with Walter Hill. Walter Hill faxed him, I think, he said, 40 pages of the rewritten script, at which point Lou was like, all right, I'm in. And then he shows up and it's like, no, this guy's fired too. And you're stuck. Remember that movie you didn't want to do and you rejected 4 times? Tough shit. You're stuck with us now.
Man, that's 2 actors right there. Bassett and Lou Diamond Phillips, I think, kind of faded a little bit. I mean, Bassett, of course, again, now in the Wakanda movie, or Black Panther movie, she's kind of got back on, and they've been steady work their whole careers, but I love Angela Bassett and Lou Diamond Phillips back in the 90s. The first thing, man, Young Guns. Oh man, La Bamba's top 2-3 musician biop. As someone who loves a big music buff, top 2-3 music biopics ever for me. And I mentioned Bassett. Like so it was interesting seeing him in this kind of movie.
Yeah, a little bit of a junk food movie for the 2 of them. It's like, man, yeah, this is a little bit below your guys' pay grade and quality and ability. But Walter Hill wanted the film to be much more grotesque, strange, and disturbing. And so I think when we see that transformation, it's like, oh, they're going for a little bit like The Thing here, right? You see like skin tendrils and stuff. And so Carl was originally transformed into a demon-like monster during the final part of the movie. Although much of the time and effort was spent on special makeup effects for these scenes, MGM decided they didn't like it because they wanted more of a hip, sexy film in space, and they couldn't see the actor. That's what I'm talking about. So all the creature footage was cut and then reshot with Carl being only partially transformed, and that's why I was like, you wanted to see the actor, but then you have James Spader in like a diving suit where you can't see his face at all. So I'm like, whatever. And then they finally pop his helmet off, but still, like you kind of went backwards with that one. Yeah. But in an interview, Hill said that his version was much darker, had a very different setup, and that the ending was very different from the final cut. Strongly disliked the way the studio ruined the movie, but he did say that James Spader did a great job. So.
Yeah, Spader, and I wasn't big, like a lot of the stuff Spader was in when he was more famous and was about to blow up. It was the late 80s and mid to late 80s and the early 90s were films that I wasn't allowed to see. So I wasn't that familiar with Spader other than seeing commercials or trailers for Sex Lies Videotape or Crash or things like that. So that wasn't a selling point for me. So I was like, are they aiming for my crowd? Because my crowd's not that big on Spader because we weren't allowed to watch a lot of his movies. So who's the draw here? If I don't know if they could have got someone else to be the lead. If it would have done better.
That's fair. I think when you think of like horny actors, Spader is probably up there.
Yeah.
Like when just, oh yeah, we got to get him because we want the movie to be sexy. He's got whatever it is. He's got the stuff. So we're gonna go with him. Yeah, like he is good in the movie. Like I don't deny that. And
right. Yeah.
I just wanted like more of him. Like they deleted a decent portion of the movie where like he's by himself, and you maybe even get to see like him actually like do more of the character that he's building, and I would have liked to see that. So
if I think for the tech guy with the AI they got
D'Onofrio.
No, well, that would have been much better. But
he left.
I'm thinking of I can't think of his name now from The Fly and Jurassic Park.
Oh, Goldblum.
Goldblum, yeah. If he would have been Goldblum.
Oh my God, this would have been a horny movie. Everybody's shirts are off. Who cares that there's a big alien like sex bomb in here? We don't care. Everybody's taking a whirl in the zero gravity sex room.
It goes off on some tangent about AI being sex. Oh man, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, he would have been a character who's not like, oh, I don't want to have sex with my computer. Like he would have been like, oh yes, come on, sweetie. Can you actually focus on the mission and stop programming your computer to have sex with you?
No.
Right? Nope, sorry. I'm busy here. Science. Life finds a way, Okay. Well, let's go over to the bonus wheel. We'll see if we get to discuss things.
Oh, and let's try not to embarrass me in front of my father-in-law this time, sir.
Okay. Well, he told on himself a little bit there. It's like, hey, what are you doing watching? Why do you even know what a human centipede is, sir?
I don't think he did until that moment.
He figured it out. He was like, oh man, these context clues are painting a dirty picture in my mind.
The gray man.
Well, sir, if you're listening to this, first of all, thank you. Second of all, you've probably been disappointed in this conversation as well. So my apologies once again. But the first question off the wheel is, what snack would you pair with this movie?
Oh, snack.
Yeah, very PG. Food.
Well, I'd go with Milk Duds, creamy and caramel in your mouth. Okay, see where we're going already, Nick?
Okay. Look, okay, so Milk Duds, I think, are a good answer because they're a good zero gravity food item.
Okay.
Like, so the movie being 0G, I think would have made sense. But I shit you not. The question that just came up when I spun the wheel is the human centipede question again.
No, Nick. You're doing to me.
I'm not joking. I can screenshot it and send it to you. But yeah, I was like, there's no way it's going to be this question. I was like, wow, that's a lot of text. I'm like, oh my God, it's the human centipede question. Okay. So we'll spin it once more just for posterity. But this question, for people who maybe didn't listen to the last episode you were here for, says you have to human centipede with two characters from the movie, but you have to be in the middle. So who do you want in the front and who do you want in the back?
I think okay. I'll go with Tunney in the front. Tunney, I'm sure I'm saying her name completely wrong.
Lou Diamond Phillips said Tunney, so I always thought it was Tunney. But whatever.
Okay. Tunney, I have to go.
If we're wrong, Lou is also wrong.
Tunney in the front and the android in the back.
Oh, Flyboy.
Flyboy, yeah.
Flyboy, you got to take one for the team here. Okay.
While being virtual reality piloted by Bassett character.
Oh. Oh wow,
there's so many scenes in that where the opposite of what she was doing, like when she'd use a hand to do something, would be the opposite on him in the scene.
Yeah, even something like that. The plan was like, hey, we've got money, we're gonna build an animatronic, and then it was like, oh, whoops, they cut the funding. Okay. Get a guy to wear a silver suit.
And
All
walk
right.
like this.
Yeah. Excuse me, Eddie Rice Jr., can you pretend to be a robot? And he's like, okay, sure thing. Got you covered. Like, whatever. I mean, like, I didn't even for a second think that it was not a person, right? Like, there was no suspension of disbelief with that. I'm like, that's an interesting choice. That's something that they would do in like a 50s sci-fi movie, right? Okay, well, we'll do one more question just for posterity reasons. If you could swap out one actor, which one would you choose to swap out and why?
I think I've already answered that one. The guy who played Benji.
Yeah.
With Goldblum.
Jeff, yeah, there you go.
With
Look
Jeff
at that. I mean,
Goldblum.
look, any movie is made better by the presence of Jeff Goldblum, so I will not fight you on that one at all. But yeah, we made it through, and hopefully your father-in-law, he heard the question coming beforehand, so if he just skipped ahead like a few moments, he was spared his ears. But
hey, it's the off season for baseball, so he's watching things, clicking on more videos than baseball right now. So
okay,
just waiting for baseball to start.
All right. Well, if he heard that, sorry, sir. But yeah, if he tuned in again, it'd be like, okay, you knew what you were getting into this time. You wanted to hear the human centipede question. But just a quick shout out to our friend Movie Miss at Let's Talk Turkeys. She had posted a video of, or not a video, but it was like a meme, right? And it was a fortune cookie. And the fortune inside the cookie said, "You will be the middle of a human centipede in 2026." And I was like, "That fortune cookie listens to my show."
Yeah, that's awesome. Where did that fortune cookie come from?
Right? And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "They got inside my head." Yeah. So, yeah, just a shout out. And I thought that was
imagine
funny.
going to a Chinese restaurant and that being your fortune cookie.
Oh my god! Right? I'd be like, ugh. Whew. Well, hopefully the German guy doesn't find me anytime soon. All right, well, let's go to more or less. And this is where you just tell me one thing that you want more of in the film and one thing that you want less of.
I definitely wanted more of the practical side, I think, like just gore. Or whether gore or weird monsters or everything, like what you mentioned, the prosthetics on Facinelli's characters, just more horror. Like this was a horror movie at heart from the beginning, and you can tell that by watching the movie. So just should have made it straight horror. So definitely more of that. Less you get more, I guess, less time, less of all the stuff before Facinelli's character gets there, because I think I'm not nothing. It's not bad, the things that are going on, but I think some of that stuff didn't need to happen if you were making a straight horror. So just less of the pussyfooting around before you get to the horror. Like, get me to the horror, because when the short things they have, the scenes like the scene where they have to make the hyperdrive jump and everyone's freaking out, and then they go, and then that first scene, and they get there, and the Captain Forrester is glued to the glass. So that's awesome. Like that was tension building. It was shot well. The music was good, and so more of that and less of the trying to build. I don't know. Like they were just trying too hard not to be alien. It seems like.
Yeah, you need more time with the cast, and I think that is something that most space movies kind of understand, because it's like you're in space, you need to establish these relationships, and I don't know how you're going to do it. Like, a lot of directors work differently. Like, do you go through a lot of rehearsals? Obviously, it's very different to do when you're working with 3 directors and you're getting a lot of rewrites, but
it's on the page, man. On the page is where, I mean, if we can compare it to Alien, is you can get one line from one character, and that gives you everything you need to know what they feel about the other character. And that was the thing with Alien. Every character is different by just one sentence they say to another character. In this movie, these characters are interchangeable. Really, they don't to me, they don't really stand out. That's kind of why I went earlier. Like, give me somebody just going goofy balls to the wall. It would have been more fun. But with Alien, even though they're down to earth, just medium wage workers, and that's what people love about the movie. They're still distinct, and it's on the page by the one line Ripley yells at Parker. It's just little things like that is where, if you're making a simple horror movie, is where it needs to be short and sweet to give you all the information. Now, if you're making a drama, that's different. Or if you're making a thriller where these relationships mean more, matter more, then yeah. And that's where they went wrong with this movie, I think, by not picking a lane.
No, I think you're right. You know, I don't think there's any way around it. And what I was going to say is I've done a lot of sci-fi movies on the show. Like when I think of Event Horizon, even when I think of when I did something like, not necessarily Contact, that's a little more singular, but movies where there's like a crew in space, Mission to Mars, Red Planet, Ghosts of Mars. Like I feel like all of those movies really invest in the group dynamic better than this movie does. Like this movie is like, okay, there's a group of people in space. They're horny. Here's their jobs. Hyperdrive, jump, and now the new guy's here. And it seems like the identity of the movie wants to be this sort of like divide and conquer thing, with Facinelli coming in and like sort of one by one either getting to them in their mind, like tempting Lou Diamond Phillips with like the strength and the power that comes with this thing, tempting Robin Tunney's character with like the sexual appetite that comes with it, maybe tempting the tech guy with the fact that it can like maybe improve the artificial intelligence, like so sort of like he's being a temptress to all the different characters and sort of dividing and then killing them one by one, and it doesn't quite get there, although I think that's what it sort of wants to be doing. So
well said. And that was to your point. If that's the way they really wanted to go and do that, then they definitely needed more time on the back end of all the good words you used was group dynamic. Now, not just this one character and this one character, they're just there too, but everyone. It's a crew, right? They have to work together, not just and Alien, Brett and Parker. Yeah, they work together down there in the engine, but they have to work with Ripley and Dallas. Like everybody is interworking. So if they could have definitely built that group dynamic more or got threaded it better, those would have meant more. Those scenes would have meant more what they were trying to do. That's a good point.
Yeah. And before I forget, there was a question that I developed for the wheel because of this movie that I didn't get a chance to actually add to the wheel. I told myself to do it, and then I didn't write it down, so I didn't do it, and I spent my day spreadsheeting stuff instead. So we'll go to this question. What is an object, item, or piece of technology from the film that you would want to have for yourself?
The alien sex object.
Oh, well, it's going to explode at some point. So.
I'm kidding. It's not an alien sex object. It's definitely a supernova bomb that will destroy everything. I have to think back to the different things in there because there was some cool stuff. Are we kind of cool to be able to work an android robot, a fully functional human-sized robot with hands and things that can do other things for you? And that'd be kind of neat to mess with.
So like the robot avatar AI system?
Yeah, we're getting there. That's not far off.
No.
I mean, we already have VR in a virtual setting. We can do it in the virtual world.
We got the robots. We got the VR.
But that'd be something like, what use would I have of that? But it would just be fun to play with, like because you could fight someone else with it, like robots. That's why
Real Steel, Battle Bots.
Yes, exactly.
I gotta remember Real Steel. That's a sci-fi movie that I can actually talk about.
That's true.
Not bad, but I can add it to the sci-fi slate. As weird as it sounds and as horribly impractical as it would be, the X-ray gun I felt was very cool. Like,
oh yeah,
I was like, that thing is emitting so much radiation right now, and he's not wearing any protection. But it is cool in the way that it scans, and then it leaves like an actual real world X-ray where you can look through boxes. It's not like he's looking through a viewfinder to see the X-ray. It's just radiating everything in the room where you can see it.
You got boxes stacked up in your closet. You need that one thing. You don't know which box it's in, and you can just scan instead of having to pick every single box and open every. Yeah. You just moved, so
it's worth the radiation. Yeah,
yes.
I'll take it. I don't know. It looked fun to use. I'm a simple like that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, man, that could have been such a more tense scene with that. Yeah.
Maybe don't ignite the bomb with a radiation gun like that. But okay. maybe he accelerated the process or supercharged it, but very, very cool nonetheless. And I think for like a space movie where you have like a rescue team, that's actually a very kind of handy tool to use.
Oh, and it could produce some good scares, like again back to Alien, the little radar transmitter. They use to find where the alien is.
Yeah, if you have an X-ray gun, all of a sudden you see a xenomorph through the wall, like, oh crap, everybody's pooping. Okay. Was there anything else that you had in your notes or that you really wanted to specifically talk about before we move along?
I think we actually hit everything. I mentioned some like good quotes. This has some fun quotes in it. When Facinelli does the kind of thing I said, where he knew what kind of movie he was making, he goes close to going off the wall. Van Sant says, "That thing you did it make you this way, or were you actually born so stupid?" And then Facinelli's like, "That's pretty funny, Nick." Like it's very close to Cage in it. So that was a really good scene. But I think we touched on everything. The great work of the actors. Oh yeah, we talked about Lou Diamond Phillips, and I'll go with this. I mean, the composer. I'm big on score. It was kind of a little all over the place here, but I don't think that was completely David Williams' fault.
No, because they had a different score originally, and then another director I think brought in a different guy to score it. So it's like, what is the difficult idea here, sir?
Yeah, like trying to go redo scenes and stuff. But she did the first two Prophecy movies. He actually worked on one of the Critters movies, one of the Wishmaster movies. Nice. So he's done some cool stuff. Not anything amazing or great. He's a good composer, better than what's on here. But that was it.
Okay. Well, there's only one thing left in my notes that I haven't mentioned, and it just points back to this movie being very horny. But there's a moment where I think it's Lou who's in there with the obelisk, the alien bomb. And the subtitles just say moaning sounds, and I'm like, I don't hear any moaning sounds.
And that's true, because I noticed that when I watched it last night, because the first time I watched it on surround sound, I didn't really pick up on that because there's so much noise coming out all the speakers and everything. But with my headphones on, I was watching with headphones because my wife was watching something on the big screen, so I was watching this on a small screen with my headphones on. I definitely heard moaning sounds. You can definitely hear it with the headset on, like just only playing stereo. Like oh wow.
Well, there you go.
Because I definitely looked over at my wife and was like, and she knew what I was talking about because she's heard me talk about this movie. She just shook her head.
Well, because it's one thing to like be in there and it's like he rests his head against it, and I'm like, okay, I get that. Like he's infatuated with this thing, it's intoxicated. But like the first time he touches it, he's like sticking the fingers and his hand in the hole. And then when they go in there to pull him out of there, they're like, they have to grab him like by the elbow and like pull his whole like arm through the hole. It's like, what are you doing in there? Come on, buddy.
I'm gonna need you to take your arm out of the hole.
This is not subtle, okay? All right. Let's go to Critics Corner.
Oh,
let's indeed. Okay, this has a 19 Metascore overall. So yeah, we're picking through the ashes here and the scrap wood. We start with a 10 on the board. This is the Los Angeles Times. Kevin Thomas just says Supernova isn't so super. I mean, he's not wrong, but yeah,
he's not. No,
yeah,
it's not.
He's like that's his entire review right there.
It's probably like this is not enough. There's no reason to waste time on this.
Yeah, let's just move along. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 20s on the board. So you can choose between TV Guide Magazine, Film.com, the Austin Chronicle, or the other reviewer at Film.com.
Let's go to Austin.
This is Mark Savlov. He's on here a lot. Fails chiefly because it's senseless. How it even managed to bypass the straight-to-video route boggles the mind. It is a speculative fiction far more engaging than any to be found on screen. Yeah.
Okay. I can't argue with him, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm interested in what the story sets up. I find fascinating. How it's executed and how it decides to go about telling that story, I think, is maybe less fascinating than the premise on paper. But
yeah, the answer is question of it had to go to theaters as much money they spent on it. They had to give whatever they could, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much they did. I don't know how well marketed it was. They cut an amazing trailer. I know that. But I don't know how much marketing they spent on marketing to get it out, but they have to make something back as much as they spent on it. For me, it wasn't at the time, but like if this movie came out now, I would definitely go to the theaters just to see it in a heartbeat because it's space horror. So I'm not who people should be listening to when I'm saying I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, neither of us.
It's space horror. Even if it's bad, like really bad, I'm still gonna be into it and invested in what's happening on screen because
Is it set in space? Genre. Yes. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
But then you add in this horror aspect.
Yeah. Double whammy. Automatic. You got 2 stars just on premise alone.
There you go.
Okay. USA Today gave it a 25. Staff not credited. Good actors seem plastic, and plastic actors seem worse in a knockoff of every rocket ship movie you've ever seen.
Wow, I don't know about that one.
I mean, it's funny at least. So put your name to it, USA Today. You should have taken ownership.
Take ownership. I think the acting's
staff not credited.
I don't think the acting's bad at all. I think it's what we talked about. They didn't know what movie they were making. I would not put any of the blame on any of the actors in it.
No, I feel like Angela Bassett is good and is fairly consistent with. I wouldn't say like everything I've seen from her, but to me, I'm not watching her and being like, oh, wow, she sucks in this. It's like I'm watching her and being like, wow, the movie around her is not that good.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
and so very different perspective, but we'll get out of the 25 range and we'll go up to the 38 range, which there are 3 of. So you can choose between, very specific, Philadelphia Inquirer, the New York Daily News, or the Chicago Tribune.
Well, I'm not a fan of New York or Philadelphia, so we'll go Chicago.
All right. Well, this is John Petrakis. Says this was a mission that should have been aborted long ago.
I like it. I can't.
Right? I know. That's actually funny. And given the backstory of the production, he's like not wrong either. Like they should have just given up. Like just forget it. We're not making this movie. Let's not spend $90 million on this project that nobody can seem to want to make. A bunch of different writers, bunch of different directors, multiple studio execs, multiple soundtrack, multiple composers on the movie. Like,
what point do you stop spending the money? What point? Because you said what was the budget? You said it got to like
$90 million.
Like when do you stop it? Should they have stopped at 40 or 50 and then just like, okay, yeah, we'll just throw it on video? Like, what? I don't understand the thought process of why a film that it seems like it was never good, other than when it was first conceived. Like, when it was first conceived about being space, or like you said, dead calm in space or whatever. After that point, it was all downhill. So, at what point did you just stop and like, okay, we can't salvage anything. Let's just cut our losses.
They should have just done exactly dead calm in space.
Exactly
that. Don't even change really anything else other than the setting. And I think, okay, so maybe you have a few more like cast or crew members because like it's a spaceship. You need more than 2 people, really, right? Okay, so you have them there to die and stuff. But yeah, I think just like stick to that. Forget the whole like bomb exploding. Somewhere along the line, they're like, no, black holes are popular. It's the millennium. So we survive Y2K. We're gonna go big. So there's gonna be a black hole pulling them in, and that's what it. And it's not even a black hole. It's like the gravity of the sun, right?
That
So,
would have the black hole idea would have been great. You wouldn't have had to stop at a planet and send your lead actor off the movie for 15 minutes, like you said. He would never have to leave the ship. So
yeah, maybe, you go to the distress signal area, right? And it's like, oh, the supernova has already gone off, and now there's like a giant black hole in that area. And that's what's sucking you in, but like you have the guy on board, so it's like you're still in the same position where it's like we got to recharge the engine before we get sucked in. We're sort of like floating on the outside until 11 minutes, right? It's a big deal in this movie. So
man, we got to get this is going to affect Earth in so many years, so we got to get back and warn Earth so they can start making plans or whatever to get out or to leave the planet or whatever.
Yeah,
and then you got a sequel.
They'll never let me do it, but it would be a really fun project to re-edit the movie with all of the existing footage.
You mentioned that. I was like, I would like to.
Yeah, that would be fun because I think there is a better movie somewhere in there, and just nobody had a singular vision for it. And I think
that's interesting.
Like just as a side project where we don't have to actually pay anybody for like licensing rights for music and stuff, and we can sort of make the quirky sort of sexy space adventure that it wants to be. Just let it fly its freak flag and just have fun. Okay, so we're going to close it out with a 50. Not the highest number that we usually close out with, but this is as high as it gets. This is the San Francisco Chronicle. Peter Stack says, though predictable, isn't half bad. Okay, but he gave it a 50. Yeah, he gave it a 50. Exactly. It's mathematically half bad.
That's awesome. and that's like I think other than My Boyfriend's Back, so the movies that I've been on your show with were all films that I would generally tell people they're wrong if they say it is bad. I love Spawn. I like all the Roadhouse. I love Roadhouse. All those movies that we've done. Now, My Boyfriend's Back, I do like. But it's not a film that you brought that film to me to rewatch. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I do like this movie. I'm glad I rewatched it. But it wasn't one that I brought to you. So every film we've done that I brought to you on Bad Movies We Love, I actually love those movies. I think there are good things in there, and they shouldn't be thought of as bad movies. But this one I can't really argue. There might have been maybe one or two that I can't remember now. We've done a lot, but this one I don't have an argument for it. I can't go to bat for it because I just enjoy it. Like we talked about, it's space horror, so that right there kind of ups it a little bit for me. I like everyone that's in it. They're fun. I like being around those actors that are in it. I don't know. It's futuristic. So but I understand its faults. It's huge faults.
Yeah, of which there are plenty, and that's okay. But I think that's a good segue to go to the gateway drug movie. So we can recommend some maybe better space horror movies. And although I selfishly want to just like plug Event Horizon and be like, hey, we got a whole episode on that and why it's so good, and people think that it isn't. I'm probably going to go in a different direction, but do you have one off the top of your head that
now I would have said Event Horizon because it's the perfect what this could have been.
Event Horizon it is.
No. You made a great point. But definitely everyone go watch Event Horizon and then listen to Bad Movies We Love episode on it. It's great. I'll throw in Pandorum.
Oh, that was the one that actually I was going to pick separately because it's like there's a weird sort of like infection going on, Pandorum is also like maybe a movie that we could talk about on this show. I don't know how good or bad it's ultimately rated.
I don't think I've ever looked that up to see how people. But just going off what I've talked with other people, it seems to be generally liked a lot. But it's
26% Rotten Tomato score.
Holy crap! I didn't. That's a
Pandorum. Guess what? You've got a home here at Bad Movies.
Somebody please do a Pandorum on Bad Movies We Love with Nick. I would love to have another reason just to watch that again. That's surprising. That surprised me because I've never heard anyone say anything bad about that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like I think there is probably a subgenre of fans like us that are sort of very forgiving with movies in this genre, and we don't really
Mm-hmm.
we're not like overly critical to the point where it's like, oh, this movie is so bad I wouldn't watch it. It's like, as long as it does the two things that it's supposed to do, which is be in space and be a horror movie, like we really don't care.
Exactly.
Obviously
Exactly.
there's shades of gray, but for the most part, like we're in. So
Hey, I mentioned Critters 4 earlier.
yeah, no, it's a good
Bassett.
choice. I think the one that I would go to if it were not Pandorum would be
Leprechaun in Space. Sorry.
This is a good question.
It's hard because it's such an untapped in genre that there's so much there that people could do, but everyone's scared of what happened to that movie Life that came out. Everyone compared it to Alien. Everyone, it's just trying to be Alien. And I only watched it one time, and I granted I kind of thought the same thing, but I remember it's kind of enjoyable. I'm gonna revisit this later, and a lot of people have said like go back and revisit it, that it's actually really good. So I need to do that, but it's a lot of people are scared that they're just making another Alien, so they just don't bother. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a tough.
Yeah, there's a whole bad movies we love episode on Life if you're interested in listening to us talk about why we think it's good. But I'm trying to think of something that's like bad, but also maybe more generally enjoyed. I don't know. I keep getting pulled back to Apollo 18, which is like it's like a found footage, fake mockumentary style lost Apollo mission. And I knew it got bad reviews at the time it came out, and then when I watched it, I'm like, okay, I don't hate this. It's got a terrible Metascore, so it still operates in the sphere of what bad movies are, but it's decent enough if you like space horror, and I think there's like a weird infection going on in that one too. It's not a big cast space movie. So it's more of like a isolation style horror, which I personally like because I feel like that's a fascinating element in sort of deep space travel, is that like you're going to be isolated and you're probably going to be dealing with a lot of sort of like mental health stuff going on due to isolation. And so I'm fascinated by that because it's sort of like getting outside of the realm of like, hey, aliens are the only thing that's scary about space. Like, no, there's a lot of things that are scary about space, and it's not just creatures.
Yeah, and Sunshine was a great example of that. That movie. Apollo 18 is one that I keep almost press and play on. It's a found footage, which that's another thing that I'm more forgiving than other people. I don't love found footage, but I like how direct filmmakers use found footage to get around budget constraints and things like that. But Europa Report that's one that I really enjoyed. This found footage, really good acting in it, and some genuinely creeped out moments in it.
Who's in that? There's like a name.
I forget his name. The Swedish guy that's in the Dragon Tattoo movies. I forget his name.
I think I saw it once because I was similarly what you were doing recently, where I was like, I'm just going into all the space horror stuff and watching that, and so it came up. But a good movie that maybe would be one that is not exactly similar, but Aniara I like as a sort of like thriller. It's not quite horror, but it tonally knows what it wants to do a lot better than this movie, and kind of leans into what it is.
It's rather a psychological type thing. It knows it is, and Aniara, that was a surprise. That was a good little sleeper hit. But in Europa Report, Sharto Copley is
that's who I was thinking of.
Okay, yes. So
I was like, I know there's somebody who I instantly recognize, but I only saw the movie the one time whenever I was doing this, probably like 10 years ago, when I was watching a bunch of movies on my laptop. So that was a good. Sometimes, man, it's one of those movies I probably won't ever watch again, but it's only because I remember everything that happened in it because it was so well. I don't know. It was just, kind of like that movie Coherence. I don't know. That's kind of sci-fi horror, just not in space. But it's just the way it's shot, and everything's purposeful in an era or an era.
how you say it, that it was just it's not for everyone. It's one that you have to kind of participate in, and think about, which some people enjoy it. So yeah, I recommend people see that one too.
Yeah, so you got a lot of good choices. If you listen to this, if you want like maybe not the original, but the remake of Solaris, the George Clooney one, which I think it's not necessarily as bad as the word of mouth was around the time, but the original is Tarkovsky, so
right. I like the original a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
That was not for everybody.
Yeah, and also not a bad movie, and it's also 3 hours long. So if you want like a worse version that people hated, then maybe go with Solaris, but isolation, horror, but whatever. It's Soderbergh. I like Soderbergh, so
yeah. You want the fun ones? Watch the Riddick movies.
Yeah.
I enjoy the Riddick movies for fun time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're here, so
we are here.
Why don't you tell us about what's going on with you? Plug whatever you're working on. I think there might be like an announcement somewhere in the works.
Oh, okay. If anyone's known or followed Nick in Bad Movies We Love, you probably heard him mention or me say that I used to do podcasting myself on You Mean a Movie. It was my first foray into podcasting. I kind of figured out things I enjoyed about it and things I didn't, and then took a break. Life and work kind of got away, but now that I kind of got the bug again, I want to start working on another podcast. So I've been working on and trying to get off the ground a little podcast that I'm tentatively titled Film Wars at this time, but it's more it's movie themed, but it's more of a participatory type podcast where I want to build a community where the social media can actually get involved in a say on what goes on. Is basically I want to have 2 guests and I'm the host and have them create a list themselves of a certain theme of movies. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's a director, but they build their own list. They kind of pick movies to be on their list, and they will let social media decide who had the better list. So it's kind of like just trying to get people involved. Think of it as Survivor or all these reality shows where fans can vote on. I think Survivor did it for 1 season or something like that. I don't watch Survivor, so I'm not sure. But fans get involved and decide who has the better list of these movies. There's things in the works about what the winner might get. So that's why right now at this time I'm trying to get guinea pigs, volunteers to come on and just talk with me about movies and try to weed out some of these issues I have trying to get the show off the ground, and the format, just the basic format of how the show's going to work out and how the picking of the films is going to go and things like that. But I wanted it's something that's fun. You can take it as people can take it as serious or unserious as they want. But it's just a way to talk about more movies, and everyone these days loves making a list. So that's another thing I want to just put in there. So if anyone out there would like to volunteer, I think Nick will probably put up on this episode how to get in contact with me. I'm on all the social medias on X and everything. Is was it at my personal X account? I was like at Cyander14. But like I said, Nick would probably put that on when he puts the episode out.
I will make sure that stuff is up in the show notes for people.
Yeah, I'll have him put my email address up there for the show. But yeah, I've enjoyed the ride that since I've met Nick in the film club that he started, of meeting new people and just talking about movies and learning about other people and their love of film. And I just want to continue that. It's something that's been missing the last 2-3 years since I stopped the podcast, which I want to jump back in.
Yeah, and I'm excited to announce that Film Wars is going to be part of the Shice Podcast Network. Look at that. Surprise, people. Look at that. It's 2026. It's your first episode of the year. for listeners, and we're bringing Donnie into the fold. You wrote for my website back in the day, a couple years ago as well. So you're no stranger. We're not strangers. And when you told me you were working on this, I was like, well, maybe you wanna come in and be part of the network here. And so you'll be hearing more about Film Wars. And if you're at a loss and you want to just reach out to me, nick@thesheist.com. Send me an email and we'll get you set up with Donnie. And we'll get you set up with maybe coming on Film Wars, and you get to draft a team of, who knows, maybe it's horniest sci-fi movies.
There you go. It can be anything.
Yeah,
it can come anything. And people out there, it wants to volunteer to do these, testing of the format and everything. Anything that you are passionate about. Is it Robert Altman? Is it a certain actor you want to draft against somebody to have your favorite Tom Cruise movies? We can do just anything. The options are endless for any kind of topic we want to talk about, and you can shed light on some movies that people don't know about. So it's like me and Nick have been discussing space horror sci-fi horror all night. That would be so much fun. So
I would not be surprised if there's a sci-fi horror themed episode of Film Wars, and I would support that, and maybe I would even come on as a guest. I don't know. I'm just saying.
So right now it's just in the testing phase, and I just need help going through testing the format, because it is something. Think of it as a game show, and so it does need testing. It needs working out kinks to make it flow as an episode. Doesn't need. I don't want this to be like 2-hour long episodes. So just. I'm a nice guy. I love talking about movies. Fun to talk about. Don't be scared. So, and then thanks Nick for the opportunity, and for you're taking a chance on just me maybe not following through for all this, or just the falling in off on my face. So I appreciate the invite, to the amazing network.
Yeah, I've got some friends. I've met a lot of people along the way. So I will when we do like the full production workup for this episode for Monday the 5th, when people are actually going to be listening to this, we'll get to reveal the art, the concept art for the cover art for the show, which I worked on.
It's a doozy.
And then I can share that around, and sort of it'll give the idea some visual flair. So when I ask for volunteers, they might be a little bit more inclined when they see this fancy logo we designed for the show.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you have an idea for like a first episode that you want to test, if we want to sort of like bait the hook for people?
So an idea, I've only talked to the great Ben so far. He's the only one that's kind of stepped forward so far. And his idea was Asian horror.
Oh, okay.
That's what and at first I was, I got to get you someone who will play the game against you.
I might have somebody for you for that, actually.
But I've already told him that, hey, that's one of, other than space horror, Asian horror is probably my second favorite genre of all time. So I thought to make it easier for him, and I think he kind of thought the idea was I would play against him, and that's fine. Because I'm just testing things on what we could do. And so for now, that's the only thing I have lined up, is I'm doing that with Ben and it's going to be just in this Asian horror ever, which it could be more fine grained than that. Like it could do Asian horror in the 2000s or something like that. But he wants to do ever, so it's a bigger pool. So that's kind of how the testing needs to go. So I need to figure out like how big of a team do you get, or a list is it 7 films per list, 10 films, things like that, to see. That's what I'm testing at the moment, like how to make it flow. So, but like I said, other ideas are just maybe your favorite director, favorite actor, maybe movies in a certain year, movies in a certain decade. It can be as fine grained as, like you said, super sexy science fiction movie. Like it can be anything. Whatever you're into and love talking about, that's what I want you to bring.
It's just going to come down to how often you want to release episodes, because the more episodes you create, the more granular you want to get. But yeah, you can stick with sort of like larger sort of decades, all-time list, individual year list. You could do like, hey, we want to do Takashi Miike films, right? And then okay, you got 80 to choose from kind of thing.
No, you got about 1 billion.
Yeah.
Miike is that's a guy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see where you go with it and what kind of themes come to the table. I do have somebody in mind for the Asian horror stuff, so I'm going to put them in touch with you, and maybe you can test that and test record it too, because maybe it ends up being a fully fledged good episode.
And if not, they could be things get released later. If they ever do Patreon or anything like that, you have these the testing episodes and the things like that. So it's just another reason to meet more people and talk about film, which is the whole idea of doing podcasts about movies. I love meeting new people, and I love talking about film, especially film that I haven't heard of. So bring me anything and everything. We'll either, for this testing phase, either I'll draft with against you, I'll play the game against you, or I'll find someone who will, because eventually, I just want to be the host.
You might say you're going to be the dungeon master.
I will master the hell out of the dungeon.
Donnie's dungeon is back. Donnie's dungeon's back. I've been working for 5 years to get it back, and now it's here.
Yes.
All right, man. It's been great talking to you. Always, I'm gonna work on getting those people in touch with you.
That would be amazing.
I'll get cracking on that, and good to see you, man.
You too, man. As always, I appreciate you inviting me. It's been a pleasure and a blast. Just like every time we've done it, man.
As always, and we're gonna have to find a way. We'll sneak Pandorum in there somewhere. I promise.
Oh, it doesn't have to be me. I would love to hear someone.
It's gonna be you, sir.
I will do it, of course. But if anyone else out there loves Pandorum or enjoys Pandorum and would fight for it on Bad Movies We Love, please do.
Bring them in too.
Yeah,
we got room at the table. Cool. All right. Well, you have yourself a good night. All right.
Same to you, man.
All right. Take care, bud. Thanks to Donnie for coming back on the show and helping me kick off another season. It had been a long time since I had seen Supernova, but it's always nice to look back at those time capsule kind of movies and get a refresher. If you had fun with us and you are interested in participating in either Bad Movies We Love or Film Wars, make sure that you check out the show notes for details on how to do just that. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to this episode. I know just how valuable time is, and I'm incredibly grateful that you have entrusted me with yours. If you are interested in spending even more time together by becoming a contributing member, make sure to check the show notes for sign-up details. And stay tuned throughout the rest of January, because we're going to be covering In Time, Virtuosity, Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, and then our bubble pick, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is going to be Not Quite Human. Plus, the members-only tier is going to have a new rom-comathon episode on The Family Stone. And there's also going to be a new Baimon Sci-Fi Con on the sci-fi movie Don't Look Up. And then we're going to close the month out with Bad Movies Monthly, our recap episode at the end of January. And I might just have another trick or two up my sleeve. So until next time, stay safe, be well, and have fun however you get your movies.